Okay, remember that they are changing the sound of my voice. This video is about my official stance on what is going on with the massive organized harassment campaign, which is aimed at me, and there's a special emphasis on trying to cover up my divine heterosexual masculinity that goes beyond everyone else's masculinity. Point number one, rich whites, Jews, and LGBT people are leading the charge against God and I with the masses of their people in their greater network and infrastructure, with countless token minorities and thugs and just people who are sheeple, in general, help them out. Point number two, the military, law enforcement, intelligence agencies, school staff, social clubs, frats, sororities, and so-called secret societies and more are instrumental in the psychological operations, right? Point number three, and there's about 30 points I'm going to use in this video. In Western culture, satanic ritual abuse that is largely done by frats, Jewish groups, LGBT groups, and hate groups historically, with lots of evidence to that effect, and obviously it's done on behalf of the governing class, is common and is central in the traditions, right? You think about Dionysus and how he connects to Bacchus, the deity of ritual madness, the famous Bacchanalia. If you look up Rome, and Greece and Rome, the history of Greece and Rome, you'll see that the Bacchanalian activities like that are very, very famous, right? Any Roman historian, any Greek historian should be able to tell you real quickly what it is. And Dionysus, who was connected to Bacchus, a form of Bacchus, is considered a young Zeus, And Zeus is not just the king of the so-called gods, which are really demons of Greek culture, and who set a demon deity in Egypt counterpart, but he's the center of Greco-Roman culture as such. So Zeus and his Roman form Jupiter, Jupiter, right? That is central to Western culture, right? The foundation of Western culture is one way to look. It is Greco-Roman culture, and the center of it, right? The cornerstone, the chief cornerstone of it, the foundation of it, the heart of the foundation of it, rather, is Zeus, right? A deity of rape by deception, and so on and so forth. And you see them say things like sex, drugs, and rock and roll, And of course, white people, are better at throwing rocks than at stick fighting historically. And thus it's called rock and roll and heavy metal, right? The armor, the knights, they're even called knights, and they wear a helmet, right? Hell, right? Okay. Point number 4. They're trying to make it so that I seem gay. I'm not gay. I'll never be gay. It's against every part of my being to be gay. But they're trying to make it so I seem gay. And that goes back to the word goat. The word goat is a play on words for toga, right? Which is a key part of the wardrobe of Western history, and part of that some people wore, And you can get the words go at, right? Scrambled. Goat is an anagram for go at, toga, and to gay, right? With sounds applied, right? Gay without the Y, but with sounds applied. So the goat, Baphomet, right? There's all kinds of wordplay there. To make a long story short, that's a part of this, right? MK Ultra is called ram scrambled. The word ram is scrambled in the word Mars. Rams and Mars, right? The word Mars is the word ram scrambled. Mars is their deity of warfare in Roman culture that's superimposed on martial arts, right? Where you get the word martial in martial arts, but they don't really do martial arts. They kind of just do, heavy armor fighting and shooting bows and arrows and, using catapults to fire various items at their enemies and so on and so forth, and various things like that, And of course, Mars rapes Rhea, and Rhea's name, R-H-E-A, is Hera, scrambled, and there's all kinds of cute connections like that in the mystery system, and that's a huge part of this. Greco-Roman mysteries, Greek fraternities, Greco-Roman fraternities and societies, college frats, the Masons, the famous Club of Rome, the powerful Club of Rome. Now, they're also trying to make it so I am sickly and vulnerable. They're also trying to make it so no one looks up to me, and people pretend that they don't look up to them. Then people pretend that they don't look up to me. They also try to make it so that the governing class feels powerful, as they never grew up, right? Babylon, baby, lion, and Rothschild is used symbolically as a scapegoat. I mean, they're involved, but they're obviously not the only rich family involved. And you have the word child in Rothschild. They're also trying to make it so people act like occult, immature, sick demon pranksters and witches. Why some of them, wear suits and so on and so forth, right? They built the city on rock and roll, and who runs the city? The guys in suits. So the guys in suits are part of that process, and a lot of them were in frats, and they listen to rock and roll, and had parties, and have a certain mentality that's similar. So there's a thin line between a rock and roll serial killer psychopath like the Night Stalker and somebody in a suit, and they are the core of their cultures. The core of business is not the good guy; it's the psychopath businessman, right? The core of rock and roll isn't some good guy who just happens to listen to rock and roll. It's a psychopath rock and roll. Same with biker gangs and everything like that, right? Emos, goths, freaks, and so on and so forth. There's a reason why they're called freaks, right? And the band names, Metallica, metal, right? And Megadeth, and so on and so forth. Okay. They're also trying to make it so they spread white, Jewish, and LGBT spirits everywhere. That's why there's so many token minorities. That's why even gangsters these days seem like, rock stars or something more than gangsters, because they're spreading those white, Jew, and LGBT spirits. They're also trying to make it so it's easier for them to sexually abuse kids and make more LGBT people. Okay, and that's part of the Greco-Roman mythology, and the Cretans, right? Secret society, Crete, right? Cretans, King Minos from Crete, who's said to be the father of homosexuality, the Greco-Roman pederasty that was so common. It was even in the movie 300, where King Leonidas refers to the Athenians as a bunch of boy lovers. I mean, it is such a huge part of it, right? And Athena quite often is seen as the most popular of the Greco-Roman deities. I mean, there's so many reasons I'm right, and it's the whole system, right? Pan means all for all the Greco-Roman deities. What happens when you mix in pedophilia and child molestation with the rest of the deities, who are basically that anyway? You get a spirit of child molestation as a very critical and key part of the greater spirit that they're promoting and pushing. It's not just the Jews doing it or immigrants, right? It is coming from white Western people, basically first and foremost, right? The Jews didn't exactly run Greece or Rome, okay, but they play a key part in this day nonetheless, okay. So they use fumes with technology to change my voice and shape, okay. Remember, I have 23 witnesses on record. They use fumes. They use noise harassment with technology to mess up my brain, right? Cause me cognitive impairment, neurological damage. Okay, again, remember, I have 23 witnesses on record, so it's not like this is some crazy homeless person who's, talking madness and then makes it an extraordinary claim. This is something that has been proven with 23 witnesses. 23, not one or two, which is more than enough to clear my name and make it clear that I'm sane, but 23. And of course, those who are insane are those who want to settle, right? Settle, settler, set up, set the stage, right? They want to settle, okay, and go into the earth. So they're insane, okay? They want to find their life instead of the way, the truth, and the life. And truth and morality and reality are very much connected. Okay, they use technology and bright lights, okay, to mess up my brain, right? They fuel me and so on and so forth, make my eyes and more vulnerable, make my brain more vulnerable to the damage that comes with being brighted, and they hit me with bright lights. And incidentally, everyone in the population is affected by those new white lights to some degree. Bright lights cause brain damage over a long period of time to a slight degree. Kind of like they used to tell you when you're younger that too much TV rots the brain, too much video games rots the brain, because these things aren't natural light sources. So your eyes haven't evolved to kind of absorb them, okay? So the phone rots the brain, TV, and so on and so forth. Okay. And of course, if you have scientists who are in on it up to their eyeballs, they're probably going to deny that and say, oh, that's a nasty rumor. But, it's like saying, they may as well be saying if you get hit in the head with a baseball bat, it doesn't do any damage to your brain. Okay? It obviously does. Okay. Okay, they provoke me and people stare at me. Basically they provoke me, people stare at me, they try to time their insults and provocations and threats in a way that, when somebody drives up and stares at me, that I'm likely to lash out, and they try to experiment on me with different drugs. And of course, law enforcement is in on it, just like you see these mass shooters. They try to pretend that they're the heroes when they almost certainly knew in a lot of these cases that the mass shooter is being provoked and likely to do the shooting. And that's not something that I would do. And so